What is your advice for going back to the gym after being sick? I recently had the flu and was down for the count for a week. I was still tired, not quite 100%, and the following week, so I ended up taking 2 weeks off from the gym. If I was on the last week of a program, do you usually go back to that program even though you can't go as heavy and not worry about it? Usually after extended sickness, I do a deload week to get my body used to it again. Is that a good approach? We'll be diving into this question and about 20 more in today's Q&A episode. But first, if you guys are watching it this week and I happen to go to sleep,
I was like, where is he going with this?
if it looks like I'm slowly losing consciousness, it's probably it'll probably be too late, but please call 911. By the time you're seeing this, it'll probably have been days.
It'll be too late.
No, it's tomorrow, yeah.
It goes up like tomorrow, yeah.
So yeah, I'll be.
But you'll probably be dead by then.
Probably be dead by then. We had a neighbor actually just flag us down and tell us to check our radon levels. His came in pretty high, so I appreciated it. We got a continuous. I was going to say.
You got to tell people what this is, because I'm assuming I am not the only one who had no freaking clue what you were talking about. Josh is like, yeah, you don't test your radon levels. No, I don't.
It doesn't exist in Long Island. You said that's not a thing in Long Island. You don't have radon. It comes out of the earth.
I could Google it.
It's a different blue marble. It's a different blue marble.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that exists here, and I'm just a terrible homeowner. I have no clue, but I don't know anything about that.
So to be fair, this was not on my radar either. The only reason I checked it is because he told me to. They do a test before closing, and supposedly it was at a 0, so there was no issue, and we never thought about it again. He told me you should be checking this every 2 years if you don't already have a mitigation system in place. So to be fair, that was entirely news to me as well. But for those who are unfamiliar with radon, it is a radioactive gas that comes from the soil below your house, typically starts pooling in your basement and can obviously get upstairs from that point. But ideally you want between a 0 and a 1, like obviously the almost non-existent, non-detectable levels. You monitor between around 2, I think, and then if it gets to a 4 or above, they consider that dangerous. Ours on the first day of testing was a 60. So to clarify it, yes, I did say a 4 was dangerous. We had a 60 day 1, we had a 70 day 2, and we are creeping up to the 100 mark on day 3.5, 4.
And so apparently one of the things you're supposed to do is stay out of your basement because you're underground, where I guess the radon is the worst.
Yeah.
And Josh is in his basement because that's where the podcast studio is.
That's where we built it. So what's one more day? We've been here 3 years. What's one more day in the radioactive fumes? So that's where we're at. Apparently it is the second leading cause of lung cancer behind smoking. The good news is it's not carbon monoxide. I shouldn't just drop dead right now. So it's not immediately evacuated.
No, it'll be a slow, painful death instead of an immediate drop dead.
Exactly.
Good.
Yep.
Perfect.
ChatGPT, my best bud ChatGPT actually told me that this is one of the highest recordings in a residential area that it's ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it like local to Connecticut right now?
Radon?
No, I mean like this big area that is peaking. Like, is that happening everywhere right now? I can't imagine that that's worldwide. So that's what I'm saying. Is it your area? Is it?
It's literally site by site, I believe. And like if you live where there's a lot more granite underground, I think that's one of the bigger causes. And we have a ton of rocks in the backyard. So this is something I thought would have been on the radar when we moved in, but it was a 0. So it was
radon on Long Island.
Here we go. You guys weren't expecting this when you tapped into today's episode.
Radon levels on Long Island are generally low and not considered a widespread issue. It is a naturally occurring gas. Long Island's geological composition, primarily sand and clay, leads to low radon concentrations compared to areas with bedrock. Low risk area. Fair. Okay, that's all I need to know.
Well, you should.
Although there's a Reddit thread. Check for radon in your basement on a Long Island Reddit thread.
Rocks exist
all right.
everywhere.
Anyway, we got non-radon questions to get to.
We got non-radon questions. So Caitlin asked the first question, and it was a great question. And I believe she's handling that the right way. So as far as a deload
Yeah.
week, if you want to call it a deload, you were kind of just sick, so it's not necessarily a quote unquote deload, but you do
A
want to have that
forced deload.
transition. Yeah, you want to have that transition period back in. So it's essentially a continuation of that deload, and you want to prime your body, make sure you're recovering well. You could even skip some days. So let's say you're on a 5 day push pull up or lower kind of split. You could do an upper day, you could do a lower day, you could do a total body day at a lower volume. So 2 or 3 sets, intensity significantly lower. And the biggest thing there is just seeing how you recover the next day and the next couple days. It's something you don't want to set yourself all the way back. You might feel better, and really you've just got cabin fever, like you've been laying down for 2 3 days a week, and you want to do something. So you feel really good, you want to get outside for that walk, you come back, oh, I feel good, I'm gonna get that hard lift in. And then you end up spending the next couple days back in bed because your whole system was not actually ready to go. You were just on the up and up, and you wiped out your recovery and you start back over. So I completely agree with how you're doing that, Caitlin. And then as far as the program itself, that's kind of preference. If you want to start it all the way over, you can. If you want to just start fresh with the new program, you can. There's really no right or wrong answer with that. It's just, what are you enjoying? What are you looking forward to getting back into?
Yeah, and I think it depends on the severity of the sickness. Like she said, 2 weeks, right? Which is a decent amount of time. I feel like in the past, depending on severity of what I've had, I either sometimes can jump right back into my typical like training frequency, but I might just lower the either amount of volume that I'm doing, so less sets, or lower the intensity. Like maybe I'm working at 50 to 70% of what I last left off doing, just until I can kind of work my way back up. But I think of when I had the flu back in February, I was out for the entire month of February, like so sick. And when I got back to training, my recovery was awful, even at like half my intensity. And so I started with like 1 to 2 workouts per week, eventually progressed up to 3 days per week, and eventually came back up to my normal 4 days a week, because it was like my recovery was terrible. I felt weak. I felt dizzy, lightheaded in the gym, even if I was using really light weights. So there's not really one set hard and fast rule. Go off of how you feel for sure. I think we kind of get a little, us gym lovers get a little stir crazy. We're like, I just want to be back in the gym, right? And so we like want to dive back in fully, but pay attention to your recovery. If you're having that lingering soreness, you're feeling really fatigued, you might not be able to jump right back in, or you might not be able to pick up right where you left off. But I agree that the strategy that you're talking about is great in terms of kind of treating it like a deload, where you're just doing less than you were previously until you can fully work back up to full capacity. But take it gradually, for sure.
This was a weird season. Like I remember it's pretty much this year still. Everyone got slammed like really
Yeah.
hard, and it lasted a very long time. So
Yep.
hopefully that never happens again. I thought we were going to be good after we reprimed post COVID, but here we are, still getting crushed.
Here we
All
are.
right. Hey guys, real quick. If you've been listening and thinking, I need to start doing something for my health, but I don't have time for a full program, that is literally why we built the SDE Method app. It's a fitness app made for real people with real lives. Busy parents, working professionals, anyone juggling 100 things. You can get in, get a smart, effective workout in around 30 minutes, some even closer to 20 minutes, and log out knowing you made progress. You can finally take the guessing out of your workouts. We have workouts designed to be done at the gym or at home, and you get access to all of them when you sign up. As life phases change, you can pick a new one that aligns better with what you have going on right now. And one more thing, we are also qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. So just hit the app link in the show notes, start where you are, we'll help with the rest. All right, let's get back to the show. Ali asks, heard a Peter Attia podcast a while back on the types of cardio to implement for health and longevity. It was mentioned to do a push day, 4 min at a pace that is just above your normal run, and then a recovery pace for a min or two. Repeat 4 to 5 times to equal about 20 to 30 minutes. Then a zone 2 day, easy pace for about 45 to 60 minutes. Then a HIIT day where you're going all out for 30 seconds, followed by a recovery pace, repeat 5 times to equal 15 to 20 minutes. Thoughts on this? Would this plus walking daily be a good mix?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a good mix of different modalities of cardio. So you're talking about interval work, you're talking about some kind of like lactate threshold work, you're talking about some zone 2 work. So yeah, I think this is fine. I think this is a good thing to implement. We did that big kind of like HIIT versus zone 2 episode, and hopefully we nailed home enough that like one is not necessarily better than the other. There's a time and place for both. And if you can implement different types and different cardiovascular work, whether that is zone 2 or HIIT training, it's great to have a mix because you are kind of training different systems. So yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
And if I can generalize it a little bit, as long as you're challenged, and again, we talked about it on this episode a bit more in depth, like cycling in both, there's a place for both. But if you're challenged to some degree, you're extending, you're noticing progressive overload in that cardio sense, you can make this work a bunch of different ways. So if this is something you enjoy, like lean into those. You've got some mix of zone 2, some mix of HIIT, lean into the ones that you're going to do most consistently, and go from there. And this, like, one more point to throw out with that, doesn't necessarily just have to be a run. If you're a runner, you want to improve running, obviously you'll continue running, but it could be a rower, it could be a bike, it could be a swim, it could be a ruck,
Stairmaster,
whatever
yeah.
modality you feel best with. Yeah, exactly. Continue with that, and then if you get bored, switch it up to the next. It's one of the things about cardio. It's not a specific, well, it is. It's your heart muscle, but it's not one thing you have to stick with in a certain way.
And to your point, if you end up hating one of those modalities where you're like, man, I friggin' hate this sprint day. Like, I don't feel good doing it. I don't feel good after I do it. Or you end up hating the hour-long zone 2 day, or like that doesn't work for your schedule. I would rather you implement a different type of cardio that you do like instead of skipping it altogether. So this is where there's a big like optimal versus practical. Like, sure, optimal to get in all different types of cardio. But if you hate one of them and then you always skip it and then you're skipping the cardio altogether, like then just choose a different modality. We'd rather you do something else than not do it at all.
Is it weird that the only form of cardio I've ever actually like enjoyed has been the Stairmaster? Like steady
I
state,
love
it can be brutal.
yeah.
I don't know
Before I
why.
had the Peloton, that was the only cardio I would do was Stairmaster. Like 9 months pregnant on the Stairmaster, just huffing it. But I always felt like I got such a great workout on that.
Felt
Yeah,
efficient.
no, I'm
Like you
with
were
you on that.
you were immediately where you needed to be the entire
Hmm.
time, and the suck
Yep,
didn't suck as bad for whatever reason.
yep,
Seeing those stairs go up.
yep. I'm with you on that.
All right. Emily asks, I'm excited to incorporate HIIT after more listening to the recent episode. A lot of cardio questions today. I like it. Currently following build for 4 days and would like to incorporate two 20-minute HIIT sessions on my rest days, quote unquote, because that's when I can make it work with my schedule. Would doing so take away the benefits I might see from having true rest days? If needed, I could look at incorporating 2-a-days, but I worry I won't actually get it in if I don't separate my lifts and cardio. Great question, Emily. And I'll just kick it off and I'll pass it to you next, Joel. But as long as you have one true rest day a week, that would be my only caveat. Is like one actual, and it could be an active rest, but it is not active rest. One actual rest day a week. I'm cool with you filling up the other 6.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm also kind of the same way. Like if I have to separate it into 2 separate sessions, I'm not doing that second session. Like there's just, if I'm waking up at 5 a.m., it's because that's the only time I can realistically get a workout in. And so I'm probably not doing another one later on. So typically if I'm doing like 2 Peloton sessions per week, I usually choose Wednesday, which is like my non-lifting day, and then Sunday, which is also a non-lifting day. So I tend to do them on my quote rest days from lifting. But I think it's also just reframing it into like, that's not a rest day. It's just a non-lifting day. You know what I mean? Like it's not a
Right.
rest day. It's you're still moving. It doesn't have to be that you have 3 rest days per week. They're technically maybe your rest days from lifting. Cause I think she said she lifts 4 days a week, right? So you have 4 lifts per week, 2 cardio sessions per week. You are still getting that kind of break from lifting. And then you have that one full recovery day. As long as you are recovering well, I think that is a fine strategy. So I would say implement it, be consistent with it for a few weeks, see how you're feeling, see if you notice any changes to your sleep or your recovery or lingering soreness, or you're going in, like, are you going into your lifts still feeling unrested, super fatigued, like you didn't get the rest you wanted? Because HIIT is a little bit more challenging to recover from than like your standard zone 2. So try it out, see how you feel, and then potentially recalibrate if you're not recovering well or you see a difference in your performance or recovery.
Agreed. Bree asks, "Hi, can you give me some alternatives to elements? Money for supplements isn't feasible at the moment. I've been doing Redmond salt in my water in the morning pre-lift, and I do pinches of the same salt on my whole food meals if needed for some taste. Is this sufficient enough for hydration?" That was going to be one of the first things I said. You know, it could be the regular salt, it could be the Himalayan. You're getting a little bit of iron, some minerals along with that sodium. And then as far as elements, so you've got sodium, magnesium, and potassium. Magnesium is your leafy greens. That's a good source there. And then potassium if you're having a banana at some point during the day. But from general hydration standpoint, getting some additional salt in there is going to go a long way. And it is
Yep.
about a penny or a fraction of a penny per serving. So element that makes it taste nice. The cans make you feel special, but they are not a requirement by any means.
Yeah, I will just say ditto on all that.
All right. And then we did have a couple comment to that question, actually saying Element has their own recipe on their website, so you can actually make your own, which I didn't know. So that would be pretty cool. So you
Yeah, I
guys can
didn't know
check that
that.
out as well. Samantha asks, "Are you guys considering adding HIIT into the running program section of the app? I love the recent hype and I want to try it out. Can we talk about the forbidden topic Project B? Any new updates yet?" Uh, Two
I would
parts
totally
there
add a hit program.
for sure.
P.S.
Yeah. Yep, we can definitely do that. We are discussing different ways to expand and allow for some more versatility and, figuring out the correct ways to do that and the most convenient ways to do that for you guys. When it comes to Project B, what we can tell, you know what, let me just, I'm just going to tell you guys what it is right now. Hang on.
Shut up.
No. What I might do, and if you guys are hearing this part, that means I didn't do it. But I'll go back into the podcast when I edit it, and I'll put like a bunch of clips, like but blurred out and like beeping, and make it sound like this whole thing broke. So I gave you the whole story, but you didn't hear any of it. Can't tell you
Uh,
everything yet. Can't tell you everything yet. But what I can tell you is that we will be at least creating a launch page where you can get the most recent updates very,
okay.
very soon. So we'll have when we can give you a countdown, there will be a countdown on that page. For right
Yep.
now, it'll just be like sign up, and we'll give you every little tidbit that we can leading up to launch. The other little piece that I'll leak is we are. And this is I don't think this is a term our developer even told us. This is a term we both made up together. We are doing a soft beta. So like beta is typically like your soft launch. We're doing a soft beta to our team outside of the core four of us, five of us who have been creating this thing, this living, breathing being that we have come to grow and love so much. We will be expanding that a bit further to the remainder of our team to get additional feedback and insights on the different
Mm.
components that we haven't thought of. Now, for those of you who remember back in January when we were really hoping for a New Year's launch, I think we might have talked about that a couple times.
We were
The
so
reason
young and naive.
we were so young and naive. The reason we are now in May without a hard date for you
Yeah.
is that this experience, let me just say, has been absolutely incredible. And
Yep.
the detail, the thoughts on every single detail and what those details affect from a use standpoint, from a intuitive standpoint. Does this just make sense? Does it just feel right? Every square fraction of an inch of this creation has been combed over. And now to that point, we understand like this is never going to be perfect and we're never going to be done. Project B will never be done. There
No,
will
we'll be
always be
working
new
on it
phases.
forever. We just
Literally
want it to
forever.
be perfect enough to have the first iteration of it ready for you guys. And the
Each
reason,
stage.
like Josh said, that we don't have a hard launch date at this point and that we're 5 months past what we hoped our initial launch date would be, is that we keep moving the goalpost of what we are finding to be acceptable for you guys because we want to make sure that when we are ready to talk about this fully and launch it, it is just better than anyone could have ever imagined. And the perfectionist business owners in us are like, let's do this too. Let's change this. Let's do this. Because when you have spent so much time, effort, money, blood, sweat, tears on something, you just so badly want it to be perfect. And we want to get as close to that perfect mark as we possibly can. And like Josh said, we're never going to be done with it. It's something we'll probably be working on forever. But the first version of it that we release to you guys, we want to be incredible. So we'll let you know when we're there.
Absolutely. And it's going to be, I just threw it in there. It'll be perfection of each stage, and perfection to a point, and with an asterisk there. Stage one will come out. We already know like the full encapsulation of the things we want it to include. I'm already realistically projecting like those things that are already on the map, already on the radar. We're not going to have those built until the next New Year's. Like those things all incorporated, and then it's going to be stage 7, 8, 9, 10 of this whole thing. So people often ask like, what's your 5-year plan in life? Well, we have a 10-year plan for Project B, and that will have many different legs on it and different directions we can take. So I don't want to sound like we're overhyping it, and I don't want you guys to be underwhelmed with stage one. I want stage one to be perfect with what's there. And then you guys, my hope is that you will be blown away from the start, but also everything that comes out after it goes live, we want to completely knock your socks off every single time. So let's just, before we say too much, go ahead.
Because our podcasters are our inside group, I almost wonder if we could tease like what it's not. Do you want to do that?
That's a dangerous territory, especially if we're riffing.
Don't tell them what it is, but we could tell them what it's not.
I think we could paint ourselves right into a corner of an idea of what it is by doing this, by playing.
Just want to give them some little breadcrumbs, They're waiting so patiently.
Maybe we'll practice this off air, and then next episode, maybe we'll tell you what it's not.
That's fair.
One more. I'll just throw one more at you. You guys will be the first to know.
Yeah.
It's when we say soft beta and then hard beta, you guys will be a part of the hard beta. So if you have family, friends, loved ones, get them listening to this show. Get them in. We'll be dropping teasers. I can also say we've slipped up a few times, and we've gotten pretty close to telling you what this thing is shaping up to be.
I think some people have an inkling.
Yeah, I think they probably do.
Sometimes in our Facebook group, we get a inkling. In the Facebook group, people are our podcast people too.
But even within that, you're still not going to be able to put all the pieces together. As far maybe stage
one,
but as far as where we're going, you have no idea.
You got no clue what we got up these sleeves. Yep.
All right, anonymous member 478. Hey, I am currently 9 weeks pregnant and struggling to eat healthy and work out. Any suggestions or tips? Before pregnancy, I was running 20 to 30 miles a week and lifting 3 to 4 times a week. So this change has been tough. What do you got for me?
Feels. I feel you. Tips and suggestions that I have for you would be take it one day at a time. I know you mentioned you're struggling to eat healthy and work out. I'm wondering if that is fatigue related. Because first trimester, just fatigue and exhaustion is wild. Or is it like we are vomiting multiple times per day? Because those are different. For me personally, like I can do it tired. I can power through fatigue. I cannot power through barfing my brains out, which is me the first 20 weeks of pregnancy. For me, those first 20 weeks are just do what I can when I can. And what you're probably recognizing is like some days you feel okay. And some days you feel awful, perhaps. And on the days you feel okay, do something. Like whether that is a walk or a run or a healthy meal because your nausea has subsided, like get that in. But I very much think those first few weeks of pregnancy are just like we're kind of in survival mode and we're going to do what we can when we can. And we're going to give probably ourselves a lot more grace than we're used to giving ourselves. And that's okay. I would try to control what you could control, focus on what you can, and understand that this is a temporary phase.
Okay. I have nothing to add to that because I've never been pregnant. Anne says, hi there. Questions regarding macro tracking, and I apologize if you've already answered a similar question. During one of your previous episodes, you mentioned that for some of your clients, you use a range for macros. Would you say there's a general rule for being within your calories and protein, carbs, fats? I've heard before being within plus or minus 10 grams is good to aim for. What are your thoughts on this? PS, just started the build program last week and loving it. Thanks for all you do. Protein and carbs plus or minus 10. Fats plus or minus 5 is what I like to go because you have a bigger range on fats in regards to calories. So 9 calories per grams of fat, 4 for per gram of protein and carbs. So I like to tighten it up a little bit, but that's being on point in my opinion.
Right. So that's what I was just gonna clarify. I think that like plus or minus 5, plus or minus 10 rule, that to me is not describing macro ranges. That to me is describing like, hey, if we want to be as consistent as possible, we want to be plus or minus 5 to 10. If we're talking about macro ranges, where sometimes I will do like calorie ranges and macro ranges with a client, in that scenario, I'm doing like plus or minus 20 on carbs and proteins and plus or minus 10 on fats. Cause like you said, there's a caloric difference there. So if someone is if I prescribe 150 grams of protein, anywhere in range would be 130 to 170. So you kind of have really a 40-gram range is what you're talking about because you're talking about plus or minus 20. So if I'm doing macro ranges with a client, that's about where I would take those ranges, but it depends what the goal is for the client. If we're trying to be in a really strict deficit and get in and out and be really consistent and strategic as possible with a dieting phase, we're probably not going to have a 40-gram range. But if someone is in maintenance or we're just trying to, improve health habits and we don't need to be super rigid with numbers and macros, then like I'm fine with someone having those broader ranges. So depends on the goal.
Agreed. Brooke says, I listened to your podcast on alcohol and THC. I'm curious what your thoughts are on CBD. I've been using CBD the last couple of years on and off for helping with sleep and some overall evening anxiety. I was just curious if you have looked into pros and cons on it. And then I just want to say how much I have I've enjoyed using the app. I started it in January. I was a trainer and owned a fitness center for 10 years and got extremely burnt out. I have not followed a progressive overload since we sold our gym, and your app has finally helped me get back on track with that. I loved all the programs, that they're simple, but also challenging. All that to say thank you for all that you do in the health and fitness space. You guys are awesome. These are like reading reviews and reading our app plug just straight through here. You guys are great.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So many more great things coming. Like you said, there's so many more things we can do to make all of this better. And none of this falls on deaf ears. I'll take a quick tangent before we dive into the question part of this, but something that we've been very good about over the years is consistently reinventing ourselves. And it's like never just settling. Like if you guys have been around since the MMC, like this started with Excel sheets. And I know, Joelle, you guys had well-rounded athlete with level 10 pre-merger. So little things like that. And we're just, okay, how do we do better? Pre-portal. Everyone was using Excel sheets, and then the upgrade was Google Sheets because that was just online, and then we built the portal. So we are never here to just rest and settle. We understand that technology is always evolving, science is always evolving, practices should continue to evolve, and the fact that you guys are happy with everything we're doing now, like we're just excited to knock your socks off every step of the way, reinvent ourselves, and bring the whole experience to a whole new level as many times
It's a very cool feeling having people evolve with you.
Yes.
And like, not to get too sappy here, but like us merging and getting to evolve with each other, not just like alongside each other anymore, but like with each other is really cool. But the people also in the community that we've built who are evolving with us through the different services that we offer, through the different programs that we offer, through, pre-kids, 1 kid, 2 kid, Alessandra, 3 kids, like through pregnancy, through postpartum, through me leaving teaching, through Alessandra's powerlifting days. Like we have walked through so many different phases of life, and we've had so much community rallying behind us to walk through those chapters with us. And it's very cool. So when we stop and read things like that, we want to take pause and recognize that we are so grateful for all of you guys listening and evolving with us.
It makes it all worth it. It is so much more enjoyable to win with friends than it is to just be doing it on your own. So that's our team, and it's you guys, it's the community as well. As we said, you are the Fitness League. You are the reason that we're here. And there's not a day that goes by that we ever take that for granted. So we love you and thank you. Now, as far as CBD, for those who are totally unfamiliar, some potential benefits are improvements in stress and anxiety management. It's been shown to help with sleep, pain, and inflammation. It can actually be neuroprotective and help with some recovery aspects and reducing inflammation in that regard. And typically low side effects. So, what are some of those? Like, what would the negative effects potentially be? Some people do get some gastrointestinal issues. It can increase fatigue and drowsiness. Because of that, it can mess with appetite as well. So you'll see some changes there. Some potential dry mouth, not quite the cotton mouth you're getting when you're smoking weed, but a mild side effect. Liver enzyme elevation in higher doses. And that would be something you would typically see in like an epilepsy treatment where you'd actually see some liver enzymes start to climb. So that's a bit of an abnormality, and again, with a higher dosage. And it can also inhibit some enzymes. So there are some drug interactions there, especially with like blood thinners and antidepressants. So just some things to be aware of in that regard. But in a general sense, it is a quote unquote safer version to something that
Yeah.
you're actually utilizing with, something psychoactive like THC. I don't have any, I don't tell people not to use it. I've taken it in the past. I enjoyed it. It was something that helped me through some anxiety periods. And it's just that more natural version of something. You just want to make sure that it is third-party tested. You also want to aim for a full spectrum CBD, not a concentrated
Yep.
version, because there's some collaborative effects with those properties there. And yeah, just trust your source. Make sure you're checking all that stuff out thoroughly.
Yep.
Thoughts on CBD? Have you done CBD? Have you taken it?
I have in the past. I have used CBD in the past for sleep, like a full spectrum CBD. That used to knock me out. I used to love it. Like it was something I used all the time back when I was still teaching and well, I was gonna say and really high stress, as if I'm not high stress now. But I
Different
found that it
stress.
helped. I found that it was somewhat helpful for sleep and stress. I think there's always that little bit of like, is it a placebo effect or like, was that real? I'd like to think it was helpful. Recently, I met with Joe Sheehy, who's the owner of Cured. But a lot of their products are CBD, but they also have THC products, and like I've never touched THC ever. And from what I understand, there is some sort of, I think they call it the entourage effect, where CBD can be more effective when it's combined with THC, but like then you're talking about kind of introducing a whole other compound. So I like Cured. I like the owner of Cured. He sent me a care package. I haven't toyed around with any of the products that have THC in it. I will say though, one of the things he sent over was, he calls it a pain stick, and it's like a THC CBD roll on that you could put on like muscle soreness and whatever. And I was like, okay, that's got a little bit of THC in it, but like it's topical. I'm not going to get high from it. Like I will put that on. And I do find it helpful. Like if I'm having a little bit of like soreness or something, I'll put it on that sore area, go to sleep with it. And like, I find it to be a little helpful.
You don't get high
So
at all? You roll it on? Nothing? No absorption there?
no, it's even what they're using in the Cured products, like it's a micro dose. There's like 1 milligram like in a capsule, and then the rest is like CBD and L-theanine and like great other ingredients. And then there's just like this micro dose of THC. So I can't speak to them. Brant loves their products. Brant has done some of the like CBD with microdose THC in the past for like wow, sleep. I was like combining sleep and stress. Some kind of word happened there. Sleep, stress, focus. He's tried some of those different products and has really liked them in the past. So yeah, I'm not anti CBD. I think there was a lot of crazy hype over it in the past. I think some of that hype has died down a little bit. But I would agree that it's kind of like a low risk thing that you could try and see if you notice any difference.
We used to take, is it Meet Ned or Hello Ned? I don't
Oh, I
know that
haven't heard of
brand.
that.
No, that was
Hmm.
just, yeah, we took the highest one for probably close to a year. But yeah, so I have taken it in the past. I was a fan, haven't taken it in quite a while, but definitely something I don't say not to use. So if you enjoy it, you notice a difference, have at
Give it
it.
a whirl.
Catherine says, hi, I would love to hear some of Josh's go-to meals for my husband. Or if I'm assuming correctly that you both eat the same things, maybe just portion sizing would be helpful. I don't think he's getting enough protein. Thanks for all you do. Loving this community. Yeah, Catherine, that's something that's super common. I mean, when you're talking about if you're not intentional, I don't know why I'm messing my words up too now. If you're not intentional about getting protein in, it is so easy to come in low. When you talk about convenient foods, fast foods, the things you can just kind of grab on the go, they're typically much higher in carbs and fats and much lower in protein. So obviously in today's go world, like that is the norm for many people. So if you're not building 50 gram of protein meals, periodically throughout your day, you're probably coming in low. Especially if he's a bigger guy. I'm close to 200 pounds. I'm taking in 200 grams of protein a day. So I need 4 meals of 50 grams of protein. That's not a small amount. We were joking around the other day, like I love making wraps and like burritos and stuff on the occasion, but I don't do it very often because I cannot fit enough protein in these things. Like if I get my 50 grams, it's overflowing, it's falling apart, it's a mess. It's not enjoyable to eat. I can't roll it like Chipotle can. So like that's my biggest frustration, but it's, I'm flexible in what I consume. So if you're looking for my personal meals, breakfast is typically 5 eggs and then maybe it's a couple pieces of toast. So that gets me to that 50 grams of protein and then like fruit or whatever. My next meal is either Greek yogurt and like an RX bar or an IQ bar, or protein shake and oats with peanut butter. So those two are swapped. And then my fourth for dinner will either be some form of chicken, some form of beef, some form of fish that we just kind of cycle throughout the week. So I build around that protein first and then fill in with the fruits and the vegetables, the potatoes, the rice, the grains, like whatever that is for my carb. Fats kind of fall where they do, nuts, olive oils, things along those lines. So nothing crazy, nothing specific that I'm like, you need to do these things outside of just build that plate around protein. Sarah says, hey guys, I finally made the decision and joined. A lot of you app guys, loving the plug. Made the decision, joined the app after several months of following you on social media. Super excited about the switch. I'm a few weeks into build and approximately 3 months post tailbone injury. It broke I broke it sledding on Super Bowl Sunday with my kiddo. Ouch. Oh my gosh. I would really love to incorporate HIIT into my regimen, especially after listening to your podcast on it. Prior to my injury, I would typically do my cardio via the Peloton, but given the tailbone injury, that's still not comfortable or working for me. What are some of the best true HIIT workouts I can do post-injury other than sprinting, and do you recommend primarily doing them on rest, non-lifting days? I apologize if you touched on this. And for additional context, I've been seeing a pelvic floor specialist who encouraged me to continue exercising, but didn't give me any alternatives to the bike. Thank you. So the one quick note we were just talking about as far as like best true form, it's just max effort. We talked about this on that episode. Whatever that thing is, it could be hitting a heavy bag, it could be shadow boxing, it could be battle ropes. You can get a pretty decent battle rope, I think, for like $50 off Amazon. It's pretty heavy, and you can go in those 30-second bouts or however long you can push it. Whatever it is that you enjoy. Take it away.
Sorry, I was going to say, it could be Stairmaster. It could be the elliptical. I've straight up done HIIT intervals on an elliptical. The only caveat that I would give, I actually just answered this on a Instagram Q&A question this morning. The only caveat I would give is to not yes, it's max effort, but I don't want you to choose an exercise that your muscular strength is going to be a limiting factor instead of your VO2 and lung capacity and cardiovascular fitness being a limiting factor. For instance, you could do anything max effort, but if I do max effort push-ups, I'm going to fail at push-ups because I don't have the muscular strength to do those for an extended period of time, versus I can't continue the push-ups because my lungs and my heart can't keep up. You want to get to that cardiorespiratory fatigue and that be the limiting factor instead of battle ropes, my arms got too tired and that's why I had to stop, because then you're never getting to the peak cardiovascular kind of threshold that you want to reach. So I would say, yes, it can be anything that's max effort. You just want to make sure that it's not bicep curls max effort. You're not going to get that same I mean, do all the max effort bicep curls you want, but you're not gonna, you're not gonna be creating max VO2, improvements. So if we're talking about true, wanting to experience true cardio metabolic and cardio respiratory, if you listen to that podcast, cardio respiratory fitness, then you do want to get to a place where you are winded, like lungs are on fire, heart is beating through your chest. And it's not that, oh, my arms are too tired to continue, or I can't keep doing push-ups because of the muscular fatigue. You want the heart and lungs to be hitting max capacity. So you just don't want the muscles to fail before then.
It's funny. That's actually like the inverse of people who don't squat. And it's like you actually get winded in high volume squats before your legs actually fatigue. I say that for myself pre cardio. Like now that I'm
You're
doing
like
it
cardio
regularly,
squats.
I know
Yeah.
like at like 8 to 9, I'm like, okay, these are cardio squats. So that's been the coolest thing I've noticed since incorporating cardio regularly is like, oh, my legs actually aren't quite as weak as I thought they were. I was just super gassed
Winded.
from having zero
Yeah.
cardio skills.
Yep. Yeah. How often do we get a question that's like, I just get so winded on lunges? And we're like, more cardio. Like, it's usually not a muscular strength issue. It's a cardiovascular or cardiorespiratory issue. So, yeah.
Them damn leg days. All right. Aaron says, opinion on Whoop and any related fitness tracker that claims to do more than step count. Is it worth the yearly cost? Great question, Aaron, because Joelle is going to sell us all on a Whoop right now.
So I don't have Whoop yet. You are talking to like Aura Ring lovers who have all been, we've been wearing Aura rings for years and have always loved Aura. But I gotta say, I've been getting hit with a lot of like Whoop posts and Whoop ads and Whoop shares. And there's I don't know if it's a new version or if it's an update.
There's
But
actually an uproar in Whoop right now because of that. I don't know if you've seen any of the negative whiplash.
I've seen some of the comments that people are angry about maybe like a membership difference. Like I think now you don't pay for the bracelet, but you pay for the membership. But
So
current
I think
people, I
it's
think, are
always
mad
been like that.
because
It's
they've
always been
never.
like that.
Okay.
You
I don't
typically
know
get the
enough.
hardware free. So you pay for your membership and you get the hardware, you get the band. So they're actually like that. I guess that was part of the contract is you're always going to get the upgraded hardware and they're making them pay for this upgrade because I think it's so significant. So you can either wait until your next
Oh.
12 month or you pay an immediate $50 fee to get the new one right away.
I mean, I don't mind that. Like when Aura launches a new ring, you don't get the new ring for free. Like you got to buy a new ring if you want the new ring,
But this is the way Whoop's always been,
and
I
you're
guess.
paying
So
the
I'm with
full
you.
$400 for a new ring.
Yep. But this one is, I mean, the new one is 360 or 380 a year every single year.
Hmm.
So like I guess the way they've discussed it
Yeah,
is
that's a
like
lot.
we're gonna cover your hardware. So I don't know that I don't think it's like, oh, now I've got to pay for this because I'm with you. We're used to Aura, like you pay for that and you
Right.
pay your membership. But I guess, and I'm not familiar with it, but Whoop actually like was supposed to upgrade your hardware, but this one I guess was so significant that you actually have to pay to do it early. So that was the
That's
uproar. But I'll
interesting.
pass back to you.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of wearables, we've talked about this a little bit where, obviously you always have to take a wearable with a grain of salt. You don't want it to be making all of your life decisions for you. But if you like the data and you think it would be helpful to gain more insights on your sleep scores and how much deep sleep you're getting and how much REM sleep you're getting and how well your body is recovering and your heart rates, which to me is helpful data. I think it's worth it to me, but like I always struggle with like, is it worth it questions? Cause I'm like, I don't know what's worth it to you, like morally or like ethically. Like to me, it's worth it, but you might not like value the nerdy data the same way I do. So like to me, it's worth a cost. That new Whoop thing is interesting to me of like 400 a year. Cause that would be like me buying a new Aura ring every single year, which like that would be wild to me. So that actually might make me reconsider Whoop because I think I don't know. I would have to look more into it. I would definitely have to look more into it. That's a lot per year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was a shade under. I think it was like 360, 370, 380, something like that. But so Joelle sent this over in our group chat. It's like, oh, look at this new update from Whoop, whatever you call it. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I go through it all, and it's got my wheels turning now. It's like we love Aura. We've had your Aura for years.
Yeah.
It's fantastic for like the lifestyle user, like general insights. How am I sleeping? How am I recovering? What's my overall readiness look like based on a variety of factors? Am I getting sick? Are there certain things that are getting flagged? Whereas Whoop is more for like the, I don't know, the average quote unquote biohacker, the one who wants to optimize performance and longevity and have additional like performance specific insights, which is, I mean, it is what we do. There's a ton of valuable data when it comes to specific protocols that you're doing and manipulating those protocols throughout your lifestyle. So I'm not an expert on Whoop by any means right now, but it does appear to be more in depth on the performance side compared to Aura. Like everyone in the world could wear an Aura and get great benefit from it. And I think that's why they've grown so much. They're a huge company at this point. You can just benefit from having an Aura. For those who are a bit more into the athletic side of things and they want the performance insights and how do I maximize all these different factors versus just living healthy, it feels like that is more the push towards Whoop. But it is at a cost. Like you said, there's a much higher cost to it.
You also got to think about what you want to wear all the time. And that's
Yes.
a little bit what's holding me back from Whoop right now is like, do I want to wear a bracelet all the time? Not just a bracelet, but like a thick band that's also doesn't have a face on it. So like you're not even getting the benefit of like a watch that has a face. Yeah, I don't know. But I wasn't sure if I wanted to wear a ring all the time and I got used to that. So I don't know.
I was doing the Apple Watch and I hated all notifications. That's why I switched to the Aura, and I'm in the same boat. Like I don't even think about this ring, but
Yeah.
a bracelet that you're wearing all day, every day, sleeping with it. Hated sleeping with the watch. The ring
Yeah.
you're not thinking about. So yeah, pros and cons. Pros and cons. What can you afford? What do you see yourself wearing and not being super annoyed by? But
Yep.
definitely intriguing. Definitely intrigued by it. All right, Ellie asks. Actually, she's asking for a friend. How do you break up with a coach? It's not the Levolution family. She's been trying to let the coach know it's not a good fit and she doesn't want to continue, but was told she's locked in another 30 days, so might as well make the most of it. Then she received a message that reminded her of all the negative reasons she signed up for coaching in the first place. I don't want her to keep wasting money on someone who's making her feel worse than she already does. Yeah, that's a dirty move.
Oh, okay. So a few things. One, this is like such an icky business tactic to me that a company is using to be like, hey, this to me means she tried to cancel. And then someone was like, hey, remember when you signed up because you wanted this, and this, and you haven't seen that progress yet. So like you should still be here. To me, that's like a desperate last ditch effort to try to retain a client. So like, I don't love that. We don't personally do that. But I'd be curious, like one, you just have to communicate. Like you just say, thank you. I agree. You know, those are, yes, some of the reasons that I signed up. I think it's okay. Like I would encourage her, not, I don't want to say you, Ellie, your friend. I would encourage your friend to be honest. Because it's probably going to be valuable insight for the coach, in my opinion, about what the reason is that you do or that she does want to cancel. Because sometimes it's just as simple as like, I'm not seeing the progress I want to see. And that might be the route she went, you know, and maybe then the coach doubled down of like, well, you signed up for this reason, this reason, this reason. And like, we just need more time. And some of that might be true. Sometimes it's a financial reason. Sometimes it's just, you're not a great like fit with the coach from either a communication style standpoint or you just don't vibe with them. Like a lot of times, I mean, the biggest reason that we get on a consult call with someone is because we really try to feel out which coach on our team is going to be the best fit for them based on their hobbies, based on their communication preferences, based on their personality, because that coaching relationship, like how well you vibe with your coach, as like kind of cliche as that sounds, how well you vibe with your coach is going to make a massive impact on your coaching experience as a whole and on your ability to make progress as a whole. So it might just be that like they don't mesh super well. And that doesn't have to be personal. Like she can say to the coach like, hey, this is just not for me right now, or I just don't necessarily think we're a great fit for each other. I appreciate all that you've done to help me. I don't really think that we're a great fit. Maybe this is something I'll, circle back to in the future. But I think it's beneficial. I mean, like from a coach perspective, I think it's beneficial to gain insight on why someone wants to leave, because there are big differences, and it is helpful for a coach to know, like, is this person leaving because they've learned everything that they need to, and now they feel confident going off on their own? Is this person leaving because I wasn't able to give them the support that they needed? Is this person leaving because they can't justify the cost anymore based on the fact that they're not seeing progress? So as a business owner, I think that that insight is helpful. But by the same token, there's, from a client standpoint, I'm like, do you owe her a reason? It could just be I'm canceling. Yes, I would agree not to waste those final 30 days, like use those final 30 days. But if she's not vibing well with her coach, like, yeah, leave.
Yeah,
But
that
I
doesn't
would
even
be,
necessarily mean they're a bad coach. Like we've had
yeah,
team members switch with our clients because we like
yep,
Joel said, we'll do the consult call, we'll pair you up based on all those factors on top of like life experience. So typically moms will
yep,
pair with a mom or another parent depending on the vibe that they want. And if it's still just not the best fit, you're not communicating, you're not vibing on the same level, like we move you to another coach. Hey, this is
right.
someone else who's kind of up your alley. What do you think? And we'll just slide them over, and it's not a big deal. But yeah, if they're just upfront and hopefully the coaching company is able to take that feedback and do better in the future, or maybe it's something they can't do. It's just it was a fit to begin with. That was the issue. So yeah,
Yeah, we
30 days, get
even,
the most out of it.
yeah. One last thing I wanted to add is we even go as far as, so we send out feedback forms to our clients every few weeks. And on that feedback form, we ask things like, what have you learned so far? What are you still hoping to learn? Because that's a really important question that, we could give that feedback to our coaches. But another question on that form is, do you feel well paired with your coach? And it's very, 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 very infrequently that someone says no. But if they do put a no, it's an immediate me getting on a call with them to see, hey, what's going on? First, I'm calling the coach to say, what's going on? What context can you give me? Then I'm on a call with the client. Then the three of us are on a call together. We're trying to figure out next steps. And me and that client are deciding together of, hey, if you don't feel like you're a good fit, you obviously have the option to leave. But if you feel like you're still in the right place, but it's just a vibe issue, let's move you over to a different coach. And so then we're looking at their check-ins, we're reevaluating their check-in forms, their questionnaires, their intake forms, their initial consult call, and any insight that the coach can give us. And then we're repairing them. And almost always, like anytime we've had to switch someone, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just vibing so much better with this person. I was like, great. Maybe it just wasn't a personality difference. Every coach on our team is fantastic. So it's not personal. Like it's not like our coaches don't have the knowledge, but sometimes it's just like a vibe. I don't know. I don't know any other way to call it, like a vibe thing, a connection thing.
Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show.
So yeah.
Agreed. All right, Casey says, I'm 30 weeks pregnant, 127 pounds, eating roughly between 130 and 140 grams of protein while doing the build program. Is that good?
Sorry, I was having a coughing attack. I muted myself so you wouldn't have to hear it. And then I couldn't find my unmute. Yeah, 30 weeks, 127 pounds, eating 130, 40 grams of protein, doing build. Sure. Yeah, good. Great.
Crushing it, girl.
Fine with that.
Amanda says, warm-up set, necessary or not? I see some people doing a set before their working sets to begin. Should all 3 sets of an exercise be at the same weight? How do you know whether to go lighter or heavier? All right, I love it. Amanda,
Love that question.
probably doing a warm-up set for most things. If it's an ISO, like, I don't know, an incline curl, for example, you may not, if you've already done back, you probably don't have to do a warm-up set for an ISO type of curl. Something like a squat, bench, deadlift, anything along those lines, you do. Even if you go through like a warm-up mobility routine, you want to also prime your nervous system for that weight. So slowly, incrementally working up to it. For myself personally, it is a very, minimal warm up set protocol. So like if I'm working up to a heavier bench, I'm literally doing 2, maybe 4 reps all the way up. And we're talking like a 2 on the RPE scale, all the way up. So just feeling the weight, feeling the weight, feeling the weight. So I'm not jumping from 135 pounds to, 245 pounds. Like that's going to be a shock. That first set's going to suck. It's going to be less than optimal. So you do on most compound movements want to have some type of warm up, but it's not like doing, 10 reps, working up, adding 30 pounds at a time, doing this 2 or 3 or 4 times. You're just getting your nervous system primed for the working set, the first working set that you're going to have. As far as all of them at the same weight, not necessarily. I mean, there's different types of pyramid sets. You can do reverse pyramid, descending or ascending pyramid, where you're working up, you're working down. You can attempt to aim for the same weight, and then as it gets a little too hard or you feel it's a little too easy based on your RPE scale, you can adapt that. I typically start on the lower side, and if I'm like, I got some more gas in me, I'll add weight. So I might start slightly more conservative, and my last working set will be my hardest and the heaviest. But there's 1,000 different ways to go about that.
Yeah, I think a few things. One, you're probably going to more so do the warm up sets on your compound lifts. Like if I'm walking into the gym at 5 a.m. raw, I'm going to do some warm up sets before I throw a barbell on my back, sort of thing. But I'm not going to do, warm up sets on a bicep curl. Like, like I'm warmed up, I'm good, I'm ready to go. I'm not going to do warm up bicep curls. But I think that a lot of people, to kind of something similar to what you described, Josh, I think a lot of people will end up kind of making their warm up sets in a way they're working sets. So let's take something like a bicep curl, for instance, where like maybe it's supposed to be 3 sets of 10, and your first set you use 10 pounds. And then your second set, you use 15 pounds because you're like, this is still pretty light. And then your third set, you use 20 pounds. And you have no problem still by your third set doing those 20 pounds. Those probably shouldn't, your first 2 sets probably shouldn't have been 10 and 15 pounds. Like to me, I would consider those your warm-up sets that you may not have been trying to do bicep curl warm-up sets. But if you got to your third set and now that you finally found a challenging weight, to me, that should technically be set 1. Like that was your first working set. So I would encourage you, like if you have 3 or 4 sets, it's not that you can't increase the weight during that. It's just you don't want to use those 3 or 4 sets to find where you're going to necessarily do your top set. You want to have multiple sets at that top number. So yeah, it's not that you can't increase the weight during the sets. You just don't want to spend 2 or 3 sets at a lighter weight and then have 1 set at an actual like working heavy weight. So I would just be conscious of that.
I've caught myself there as well. Like I'll get 8 reps into a 12 rep curl. I'm like, this was way too light. So I can just stop and then start my next set as the first working, or just commit to banging it out. Like if it was 12, but like this is way too light and you end up doing 20, just bring it to that RPE. And that kind of goes into the last part of that question you asked. How do I know when to go heavier or lighter? Well, you got to base that on your RPE. And if you're in the app, we actually list that for every single set of every single exercise. If it's an 8, that means 2 reps short of absolute failure. Couldn't do another rep with good form if your life depended on it. A 9 is 1 rep short of that, absolute failure. Occasionally take it to true failure. Even if it says 8 or 9 and you're not sure, it's been a while, go to true failure, gauge that so you understand what that feeling feels like. I will tell you, 90% of the people in the gym who might think they're going to high intensity are stopping at least 6 reps short of actual failure, especially 100%. On lower body days, especially on lower body movements. It's something that's like, oh, this is hard, I don't want to do anymore. But if somebody had a gun to the back of your head, a metaphorical gun, they could go 6, 7, 8 more reps, and they might throw up after, but they could do them. And that is true failure. To highlight the importance of that, we are stimulating muscle growth. We are stimulating a strength response 1 to 4 reps short of absolute failure. If you're at a 5, maybe there's some stuff going on there, but the most efficient adaptation is 1 to 4 reps short of absolute failure. So if 90% of the gym goers are stopping 6 reps short, at least, and we're wondering why nothing's changing, we're in this plateau, we look the same after year after year after year in the gym, well, that's why. You're not actually eliciting a response. You're burning some calories, but you're not pushing yourself to that threshold. And we talked about this in the last episode. I did a little rant on psycho mode, and when I used to take Jack 3D and these stim workouts, like it was easier to get to that, just throw me in, coach, we're going to do some shit right here. Getting back to that level, and that's a mindset. That's not a physical performance skill. It's a mental skill. Saying I am taking this shit to that level will transform your life in a bunch of different areas, but especially in the gym. You're talking about creating these adaptations and changing your body, improving your health. You have to get to that level. And it is so difficult. We are so comfortable. It is so easy to stay comfortable and leave this zone that slightly uncomfortable feels unreasonably uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So take a couple sets to true failure on occasion, grind it out, remember what that feels like. And that is the level you need to be at consistently. So if you are short of that, to answer the question, it's time to go heavier.
Yep.
The only time you're going lighter is if your form is suffering, if you're rocking, you're curving your back on a squat. Like if you have to compromise on form, that's when we're scaling back to optimize our movement pattern. Other than that, it's go time, baby.
Yeah, I think most people don't really know what actual momentary, what we would actually call like MMF, which is momentary muscular fatigue. Most people don't know what that feels like. To your point, Josh, we love comfort. We hate discomfort. So let's say you're doing reps on a leg extension. You start to feel that burning in a leg extension in your legs and you're like, okay, I'm done. Like that was good.
Yeah.
That's good. I hit my breaking point. But that was not muscular failure. That was mental failure. This feels hard now. This feels uncomfortable now. So I'm going to stop. You have to be able to separate muscular failure, true muscular failure, as in I cannot get my muscle fibers to contract to complete another rep. That's failure, not I'm uncomfortable. My mind wants me to stop. My brain wants me to stop because this is uncomfortable. Those are two very, very different levels of failure. So once you do learn that difference, it will transform your training.
That is such a critical component. That is, again, that was part of my rant. It's why I do things like cold exposure. It's why I do the sauna. It's partly why I run. I hate running. But it's training ourselves to get used to being uncomfortable again. And it goes across all levels of life, guys. If we're not pushing ourselves, if we're going to that point of just barely uncomfortable, it is not nearly hard enough for so many different areas. So that was a great question, and I'm glad we got to riff on that. Now, Letitia says, I follow build and typically do 15 to 20 minute Metcon twice a week after upper body days. I can't separate cardio and strength due to time constraints, but I'm wondering if there's a much better way to construct this while trying to maximize strength goals. If you're constrained, If you're constrained, just do that post lift. If the strength is the primary thing we want to improve, we do that first and then do the other one right after. And that's what you're going to do until your schedule opens up the ability to change that up. There's no other way about it.
Yeah. I don't mind what you're doing. It's practical. It works. Keep doing it.
Madison says, my question is that I do CrossFit 3 times a week and wanted your guys' thoughts on not being a traditional progressive overload strength program. I go back and forth because I love doing it. And I do see myself getting stronger in compound lifts, but I also want to maximize strength benefits. My gym does do more lifting progressive overload cycles than other CrossFit gyms, and I try to throw in 2 accessory strength days a week at home. But do you think it's better to follow more of a strength program and lower my CrossFit days to 1 to 2? I think the fact that your gym does optimize and focus on progressive overload is a great start. It sounds like you are getting stronger, so we're seeing some good things happening. I would just want to clarify when you say getting stronger, is this like a general trend you're noticing, or my 1 rep max of X, Y, and Z has improved over time? My full rep max of X, Y, and Z has improved over time. I'm able to do this faster. We want to make sure that progressive overload isn't confused just like with a general improvement kind of concept. It's very specific. It's progressive overload in a specific modality, a specific run, a specific lift, a specific something. So just one clarification there. It does sound like that's what you were alluding to. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it in this aspect, especially because you love it and the community is probably great and you love going to the gym and doing those things. You're doing the accessory work. So I'm not a huge CrossFit supporter. I don't hate on it, but it's not like, yeah, that's the first thing I recommend. But in this scenario, I think you're checking your boxes and you enjoy it. And at the end of the day, that is the most critical part.
Yep. You like it. You enjoy it. You're getting stronger. Keep doing it if it works for your schedule.
All right, last one. Patience. Working on losing 43 pounds, and know y'all have recommended 1 gram per pound of body weight. So as I lose pounds, do I decrease protein? That's a really good question.
That's a great question. If this is who I'm thinking of, she was sharing on Instagram yesterday that she is down 40 pounds and still wants to lose another 40. And she was sharing what she's been doing. She's in our app. She's eating plenty of protein. And I think she also mentioned semaglutide shots. So, because I have that additional context, assuming we are talking about, I guess it's possible we have two separate patients in our community, but assuming this is the same person, I would, I think it depends on where your protein is right now. Generally speaking, I would not advise decreasing protein in a deficit. Like typically we want to toggle carbs and fats and not protein. So typically I would say, don't. But if you've lost 40 pounds, it's possible that your protein could kind of be recalibrated a little bit if you need somewhere else to cut calories from and your carbs and your fats are getting relatively low. I think it depends on where your protein is at right now. Because yes, 1 gram per pound of body weight is great. It also doesn't need to be that high. So I wouldn't object to you being at like 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, or 0.9 grams per pound of body weight. So I do think you have a little bit of wiggle room to come down if you needed to, like if your calories were getting lower and you're like, hey, my fats and carbs are getting pretty low. Like, can I toggle this protein? If you're consuming more protein than you need to be, I think you could bring that down a little bit. But like generally, I wouldn't advise lowering protein in a deficit. But in this context, you might have some wiggle room to do so.
Couple different points I want to make, but I'll start by playing devil's advocate. When in a deficit, you can potentially optimize sustaining muscle by going as high as 1.3 grams per pound of body weight. So if you're at 1 gram per pound when you start, that could trickle up to the 1.3. So that would kind of be the point to not touch it and just leave it.
Yeah.
The other side of that is 40 pounds is not insignificant. That's a significant amount of
Right.
weight. You've done a great job. Very happy for you. Like, kudos, congrats. Keep crushing it. That's great. So in the general sense, let's say you did that and you wanted to go to maintenance. I wouldn't say just leave protein where it's been. Like, you can recalibrate at that 40 pounds. And it doesn't have to be every 10 pounds even, but you got to 30, you got to 40 pounds. Maybe we bring that down now. So if you're going gram per pound, gram for gram, pound per pound, bring it down to that 40 pound lighter number. But again, if your calories are high enough, if you're feeling good enough, biofeedback is optimized, while you're still at that higher protein number and carbs and fats have taken the hit, I say leave it. If you're doing a great job right now, things are going well. If you're not stalling, sleep's not off, again, really hone in on biofeedback. If you don't need those extra carbs and fats because calories overall are high enough, I don't mind that higher ratio to protein. It's
Yeah, I don't really think there's
data to support it.
downsides. Yeah, I don't really think there's much downside to keeping it high. It only becomes a downside issue if, for instance, like carbs and fats are getting so low that now we can't adhere to the calorie amount or to the macros because carbs and fats have had to dip so much to keep that protein high. That's where like potentially there's a detriment, and I'd rather see someone recalibrate, get a little more carbs and fats back if it's going to help with like hunger, performance, quality of life, not feeling so restricted, and still keep protein in a great place, but maybe earn better adherence or have better adherence because now they're not kind of disproportionate. But there's not going to be like a physiological downside to keeping your protein higher.
Agreed.
Cool.
That was it for today.
I think that's everyone.
What a great
Actually,
question.
I actually thought you missed one, Josh. I thought there
Was
was
there a new one
one
that popped in, or did I? So I did scroll past the one we started with. If that's
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I remember feeling like, did we just skip that one? But you're right. Maybe it was the one that you originally read.
We'll do one more quick scroll. Maybe something came in after we started, and I might have gotten past it. There is one. There's one up top. There might be actually a couple more that. Oh, there's a few. You guys snuck them in. Let's see. I got time for a couple. So we'll go to the top. Miranda. Hopefully, I'm not too late. Nope. Fit it in. Nice catch. But what advice would you give to a 15-year-old boy who's just getting into powerlifting? First year as a freshman, he was too nervous to compete, even though his coach wanted him to. He's enjoying lifting at school, but actually worried he'll fall off over the summer when the have to is not there. One of your programs, or would one of your programs be useful for him to follow over the summer to prepare him for his second year of powerlifting? That's a great question. I'm glad that we caught it. And at the moment, we don't have any powerlifting specific, but again, there's something Alessandra and I actually just talked about this morning. She might shift back to a powerlifting style. So this will be included in the future, maybe even by the time school breaks out. I think it'll be a fun one to incorporate into that. As far as just the general drive, and I don't have to anymore. That's going to be something he's got to decide if this is a passion or not. Like, does he love it? Does he want to become very good at it? Does he want to be elite at it? Does he want to win these competitions? Is it going towards a sport? A lot of times that's where you can find the reason, the passion, the drive. And we talked about this on our last episode. There's something to train for. So if he's playing football, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever it is, getting stronger is going to help in that. And he can maybe scale back from the heavy intensity, like on a, say 5-day basis to maybe it's 3 or 4 days. And then he goes sport specific, does some speed work, does some athletic work on a couple days a week. Make it fun, like make it something he looks forward to. So it's, we want the passion and the drive, but is it something he truly loves? And let him kind of feel that out. Give him a taste for it. We'll get some resources in there for you if that is something that he wants to utilize. But yeah, that's my general thought.
Yeah, I agree.
Jamie, this one's for you, Joel. What advice would you give to someone who's 20 weeks pregnant and not finding time or energy to get in anything more than a daily walk and 10,000 steps for a workout?
Do it. Do what you can. Do it tired.
I think that's literally what you said about it, right?
Yeah.
When you said your first 20 weeks?
Yep. Yeah.
Move when
like
you can.
I can fight through energy and tiredness. I can't fight through barfing my brains out. So there were days that like all I could do was get in a walk because I would just have some nonstop puking days where like I couldn't get food in. I couldn't get water down. Like it would not be beneficial for me to lift at that point. So there very well may be days where all you could do is get a walk in. And I think that's better than doing nothing. So do what you can when you can.
All right, this is a quick one and we're going to end here. You're short on protein and fiber, but only have enough calories to hit one. Which do you choose? I.e., which to prioritize in a fat loss phase? I read that at first as like it's the end of the day. What are you choosing? And then she said, which to prioritize in a fat loss phase. And I would say both you prioritize overall.
I'm still reading it. I'm still reading it as at the end of the day. I think she's just saying like I'm in a fat loss phase.
Gotcha.
Get to the end of the night. Short on both, only have the calories for one.
How short? How short are you?
Yeah, and also, how do you only have the calories for one? I'd be curious if you're tracking macros or if you're just going by calories because...
Well, she's probably, like, in a sense, she's saying, like, protein or carbs. But which would you prefer when
Right.
it comes to, like,
I mean,
fiber or protein?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go protein.
I'm going to go protein for this singular day, and we're going to make sure we don't miss it tomorrow.
We're saying protein right now, but this better not be an everyday thing, Aaron.
Cut that trend out.
Yeah,
right,
I
guys.
would try to put yourself in a position that you don't have to choose, but if you have to, protein.
Yeah, I like the fun way to end this call. Gun to your head. What are you taking? I'm taking the protein.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we appreciate you. That was awesome. I was late to throwing this one up today, and you guys came through with maybe more questions than ever.
It all showed up.
You guys are the rock stars as usual. And we're also going to end with our as usual ask 3-episode rule. If you're listening beyond 3 episodes, we ask that you please leave us a quick 5-star review. If you want to leave a blurb with that, you can. Tag us, share it on social media. This community, the thing we're building through the podcast, is for you. It's a free resource. And if you've listened beyond 3 episodes, you've probably gotten some value from something we've said in one of these episodes. And that little something can really help change someone else's life. That is the goal of this. Through awareness, to create change. Our goal is to make the world a happy, healthy place, selfishly for our kids. We want this to be a happy, healthy world that our kids get to grow up in. And every time you share, every time you leave a review, it gets us one step closer to accomplishing that goal. That's all we ask. We love you. We appreciate you. Where can they find you?
At Joelle Samantha.
I'm at Josh Skutnick, and everything else is linked in the show notes.